Let me tell you something that few will ever dare to admit, something whispered behind closed doors by those who shape the world but never reveal how they do it. Emotion is the invisible chain, not forged in steel, but in sentiment. It tightens every time you care, every time you feel, every time you let someone matter. That's the irony. Love is marketed as strength, but it's more often the bait on the hook, and the deeper you bite, the more power you give away. The world doesn't bend for the passionate. It doesn't submit to those who feel deeply. It yields always to those who know how to withhold, those who keep their pulse steady while everyone else drowns in theirs. Caring is a currency, and the one who spends least owns the economy of emotion. You think love builds empires? No, control does. You think empathy wins loyalty? No, mystery does. This isn't cynicism. It's clarity. Understand this. The one who can walk away holds the leverage. The one who feels less holds the throne. The moment you free yourself from the obsession to be understood, from the compulsion to reply, from the desperation to be seen, you become untouchable. And in a world addicted to validation, being untouchable is the ultimate form of influence, because when you care less than they do, they chase, they invest, they unravel. Their confusion becomes your power. They try to decode you, to analyze you, to make you feel what they feel. Uncertainty, fear, longing, and you remain still, silent, composed. That stillness isn't passive, it's strategic. It's power in its purest form, unmoved by the noise, unshaken by the chaos. Most people wear their emotions like a badge of honor. They show their wounds, they announce their fears, they invite others into the most vulnerable corners of their soul, hoping to be cherished, and then they wonder why they're always the ones left begging, left explaining, left chasing. But not you. You will not be the open book. You will not be the mirror reflecting everyone else's insecurities. You will be the wall, the unknown, the one they can't read, can't break, can't predict. Because that is where real power lies, in the shadows of detachment. People are so desperate to be liked that they forget how to be respected. They spill their hearts too soon. They talk too much. They reveal their intentions before the game even begins. And in doing so, they become pawns in someone else's strategy. Predictable, moldable, weak, but you will not bleed on the floor of public opinion. You will keep your wounds private, your desires hidden, your plans encrypted, because the moment someone knows what drives you, they can drive you. The moment they know what scares you, they can cage you. That is why detachment is not cruelty, it's protection. Not indifference, it's discipline. Let me teach you something the world doesn't reward, but reality does: emotional neutrality, the ability to see everything, feel everything, but choose nothing, to observe the storm without stepping into it, to hear the insult without returning it, to witness betrayal without retaliation. This is not about being numb. It's about being selective, intentional, controlled. You must never be the man who breaks first. Never the one who explains his worth. Never the one who shows his hand when silence would have said more. In every confrontation, the first to react loses, because reaction is exposure, and exposure is vulnerability. And vulnerability, when unearned, is surrender. The powerful speak less, move less, reveal less, not because they have nothing to say, but because they know the value of restraint. They understand the cost of transparency. They trade noise for presence, chaos for calm, desperation for dominance, and it's in relationships, yes, especially there where the war is most subtly fought. Not on the battlefield, but in the bedroom. In the texts left unread, in the silence that lingers longer than it should, in the way you do not explain why you're pulling away, because the one who speaks first loses, the one who needs less controls more. Dependency is the great destroyer of powerful men, not poverty, not failure, but emotional dependency, the need to be loved, the craving to be understood, the obsession with connection. These are the strings tied to your spine, and once someone finds them, they can make you dance at will. So you must love from distance, you must care with calculation. Affection should never be your surrender, it should be your strategy. Give enough to intrigue, never enough to depend. Offer presence, not permanence. Provide warmth, not weakness. People will try to mold you with guilt, with expectation, with obligation, but you were not born to serve their scripts. You were born to write your own, and to do that, you must refuse to be defined by their emotions. Their pain is not your cue to respond. Their chaos is not your invitation to engage. You must learn to walk away when needed, to say nothing when expected, to disappear when chased, because sometimes silence is louder than any argument. Sometimes distance is the deepest cut, and sometimes not caring is the most seductive power you can wield. The world fears what it cannot predict. That's why the emotionally detached man is always a threat. Not because he's cold, but because he's unreadable. He doesn't show his motives. He doesn't justify his absence. He doesn't explain his ambition. He simply exists, beyond reach, beyond control, and that's what makes people obsessed. Not your affection, not your vulnerability, your unavailability, your refusal to be dragged into their emotional games, your calm when they're chaotic, your silence when they scream. You don't need to argue. You don't need to convince. You don't need to win the debate. You win by not playing. You win by being the one who could speak, but doesn't, the one who could chase, but walks, the one who could break, but remains whole. Let others drown in sentiment. Let them wage wars over feelings. You will master the art of strategic distance. You will feel yes, but on your own terms. You will love yes, but never kneel for it. You will care yes, but never more than your mission, and when betrayal comes, and it will, you will not spiral, you will not collapse, you will not scream, you will nod, you will turn, and you will never return. That silence will be remembered long after words would have been forgotten. Revenge is not power, indifference is. Understand that emotional detachment is not the absence of love. It is the preservation of self. It is not cruelty. It is sovereignty. It is not weakness. It is the refusal to be ruled by those who don't know what to do with your heart once they hold it. In this life, your power is in what you can walk away from. And the one who can walk away from everything, without shaking, rules over everyone. The less you need, the more they need you. The less you explain, the more they obsess. The less you respond, the more they unravel. So be rare, be silent, be composed. You were not born to be understood. You were born to be respected, and respect, real respect, does not come from tears, confessions, or emotional exposure. It comes from the mystery you refuse to give away. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them guess what you're feeling. Let them chase answers you'll never give, because when they're trying to decode you, they can't control you. And when you no longer crave their understanding, you become something few ever become free. Free from emotional chains, free from validation, free from the need to please. That is the foundation of power. That is the root of all dominance, and that is what separates the rulers from the ruled. Be the one who can walk away, and you will never again have to chase. And now, let's descend even deeper, and to the layer where most men never tread. You see, detachment is not a state you stumble into. It is a throne you build, brick by brick, with every emotion you refuse to feed. The powerful do not avoid emotion. They command it. They are not empty. They are precise, and their restraint is not a void. It is a weaponized silence that speaks louder than noise ever could. You must understand this. The man who can feel but chooses when and where to reveal it owns not only himself, but everyone around him. Most people are predictable. Their emotions are broadcasted in high definition. You see it in their reactions, hear it in their voices, read it in their eyes. Their need is a beacon. Their desire, a leash anyone can grab. They think they're expressing authenticity, when in fact, they're just showing you how to dismantle them. And if you were wise, if you were cold, you would take notes, because control doesn't begin with domination. It begins with observation. You watch, you study, you learn their triggers before they learn yours. You say less so that their words fill the silence. You reveal nothing, yet gather everything. This is how the truly dangerous man is built, not by strength alone, but by discipline and delay. While they seek to be heard, you seek to understand. And in that distance, you gain ground, one step, one move, one breath at a time. Understand this. Predictability is poverty. The moment they know how you'll react, they can write your script. They can decide your mood, provoke your decisions, drag you into battles they've already prepared for. But the unreadable man, he is a phantom. He moves without pattern. He answers without emotion. He is feared not for what he says, but for what he doesn't. And that silence is an abyss where weaker minds lose their footing. Think of the world as a chessboard, every interaction a game, every conversation a test. The masses play checkers, loud, fast, obvious, but the man of strategy plays slow, plays long, plays cold. He sacrifices nothing without purpose. He trades emotion for position. He never speaks to be liked. He speaks to control the temperature of the room. When he laughs, it's measured. When he reacts, it's chosen. When he disappears, it is not an accident. It is design. And what of love? What of intimacy, the soft places where most men surrender their power willingly? Ah, here is the final battlefield, not in boardrooms, not in debates, but in bedrooms, because love, when not handled with precision, is a velvet rope wrapped around your throat. You think it binds you to something beautiful, but more often it binds you to your own destruction. The man who loses himself in someone else's eyes forfeits the war before the first shot is fired. You must learn to enter love without drowning in it. Love with one eye open, feel, but do not fall, give, but never everything, because the moment they know you cannot walk away, you have already lost the high ground. They may not weaponize it immediately, but one day, consciously or not, they will. They will test your limits, push your boundaries, and if you flinch, if you stay when you should have left, they will lose respect for you, and once respect is lost, control follows. True power in love is not dominance, it's detachment. It's the ability to remain yourself, whole, composed, sovereign, within the storm of affection. You must be capable of walking away, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. You must never forget. Dependence is a drug. It makes you forget your strength, your standards, your strategy. But detachment is sobriety. It reminds you who you are when the mask of emotion is stripped away. People think power is taken. No, power is given. To those who prove they don't need it, to those who command without command, to those whose presence alone causes unease, whose silence is interpreted as judgment. That is true power. It is not theatrical, it is not loud, it is not something you wear, it is something you radiate. And what of weakness? Let me tell you, weakness is not the lack of strength, it's the lack of boundaries. It's the inability to say no without guilt, to walk away without explanation, to be feared not for what you might do, but for what you don't need to do. The most terrifying man in the room is not the one raising his voice. It is the one who says nothing while others tremble because he does not seek control. He already has it. Now let me speak to your greatest temptation, validation, the craving to be seen, understood, applauded. It is a poison served sweet. It trains you to perform, to adapt, to adjust your truth so it's easier for others to digest. But if you crave validation, you cannot lead. You are forever at the mercy of your audience. You dance when they clap. You break when they boo. But when you abandon the need to be validated, you become dangerous. You say what needs to be said, not what they want to hear. You become a force, not a figure. Your path must be one of control, not of others, but of yourself. Discipline over desire, stillness over impulse, vision over emotion, because in the chaos of the world, the man who moves slow, who breathes deep, who speaks last, he is the one who wins. Why? Because he sees not just the moment, but the consequence. He isn't playing to be liked. He's playing to endure, to conquer, to become legend, and you will be tempted. By comfort, by warmth, by soft voices offering peace. But remember, peace is not always your ally. Sometimes it's the setup, the calm before the betrayal, the illusion before the blade. Do not seek peace, seek clarity, because clarity allows you to walk through fire without being burned. It is clarity, not comfort, that keeps kings alive. Your silence must become your sword, your detachment your shield, and your discipline, the very armor you wear against a world that wants to seduce your attention, manipulate your compassion, and siphon your power. The less you give, the more they want. The less you reveal, the more they chase. Because people are addicted to mystery, they lust after what they cannot define. So remain undefined, not because you are unsure, but because you are untouchable. This is how you ascend, not through emotion, but through elevation, not by shouting, but by shaping the space around you without a word, not by love given freely, but by affection earned under strict terms. Power? True power lies in restraint. It lies in the moments you don't act, the messages you don't send, the feelings you don't display, and in that restraint you become mythic, not a man, but a presence. Let the world mislabel you. Let them say you're cold, distant, calculating. Let them believe what they must to feel safe. You do not exist to soothe their fears. You exist to sharpen your edge, and in doing so, you become unbreakable. Because what is there to break when you've placed nothing fragile in their reach?